All right, in step 2, we begin to work on the grills. The GP38 has 2 rear grills compared to the GP38, the modern version of the Dash 2, which has just the single grill. And these grills are both about an inch long. And as I pointed out, definitely in the case of the non-Dash 2 locomotives, this locomotive will have the early version of the EMD grill. Which will have the vertical and horizontal lines going through it. And the more that you start to spot details like grills, like that some Dash 2s have early grills, some have late grills, and like all the early versions that are not Dash 2s have this mesh grill. Your drawings definitely will have a consistency to what time era the locomotive was. And here we'll do the blower grill. Now the blower grill has the later version. Well, it's just the version that blower grills have, but it's what ends up that later Dash 2 grills have more of this look where it's just vertical lines. And while we're here, why don't we put the blower duct on it? And the blower duct kind of has these two kind of sort of reinforcements. And then while we're at it, why don't we put the dynamic brake which basically goes, and erase a little bit of this. Good thing about Alaska Railroad as far as a practice engine is it has this nice dark blue. So if you kind of make any mistakes or anything, the big bulk of this locomotive will cover up any little, like if you make any mistakes here or there. And while we're at it, doing the grills, why don't we put the fans over them? The fans are right at about 3/4 of an inch. There's the fan over the dynamic brake. And then basically one fan goes centered over each. real quick, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the steps just so that now you can do a lot of this work you can do in kind of almost any order you want. In this middle stage, you can put doors on, you can put grills, you can put dynamic brakes. A lot of this you can kind of do. I highly recommend getting the bulk of the outside frame drawn first, but as we move into the third stage of this video, I definitely kind of like to get it so that we have the base of the frame pretty much complete, so that we can start to put in the trucks. And if you at all are looking up at that one, this engine doesn't have the yellow paint on the trucks that a lot of more modern locomotives do. So the truth of the matter is, if your steps aren't totally perfect, again, that's what I was saying about the rest of the engine, is that if your trucks aren't totally perfect, and even the frame itself, like here where I was just erasing a little bit, like this is kind of a mid-era modern locomotive, in the sense that if this were like right out of the last couple of years, that frame would definitely be yellow, for instance, and there would be yellow edges on the all four of the steps. So this is kind of a good engine to practice, yet still doing a modern railroad, in the sense that the frame stripe is blue and the step sides are all blue. So a lot of the work that you're doing can kind of blend in. So just sort of, if you're kind of looking around for engines to do, this is a pretty good example of an engine where kind of that late 70s, 80s era. Like Norfolk Southern, CSX, they definitely have engines lots of railroads kind of do, where, okay, put the cab, and why don't we put the ratchet brake. Put these latches here. Put the edge of this. Put these vents. Put the sand filler there, and this grab iron there. Why don't we just put this? A lot of times, if you know this sand filler's here and you know that sand filler's there, doing them both at the same time is good. And probably move this the tiniest bit, even though you won't really be able to see it. Move it right about there. And okay, we'll be ready to put the trucks on in step 3. Okay.